Now, yesterday, the New York Times dropped a bombshell report alleging that President Trump had asked James Comey, which was the FBI director, to stop investigating Michael Flynn. Now, Michael Flynn was the former Trump national security advisor that had to resign because he was talking to the Russians, he was talking to Turkey, so he had some ties to some other countries that he didn't disclose. Okay. Now, in that report, reporter Michael Schmidt writes that the documentation of Mr. Trump's request is the clearest evidence that the president has tried to directly influence the Justice Department and FBI investigation into links between Mr. Trump's associates and Russia, which I would think that would be a bit of a conflict of interest. If you're looking out for American interests, you're not necessarily looking out for Russian interests. So, now the memo cited by the New York Times, which has not been obtained by them, but was instead read to them by one of Comey's associates, read in part, "I hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, to letting Flynn go." Trump told Comey, according to the memo, "He's a good guy. I hope you can let this go." Oh, hey, man, I hope you can let this go. Hey, man, this whole thing with Flynn, hey, he's a good guy. Just let him go already. He's my friend. He was good to me. Well, look, being a good guy doesn't have any bearing on whether or not he did something wrong. Which, it's clear from the fact that he had to resign that he did do something inappropriate. Okay? Now, in the act of asking Comey, he may have just done obstruction of an investigation. So, you can't obstruct that. That's called obstruction of justice. Whether or not they can use that to justify charges against him, I don't know yet. But that is a possibility that I think a lot of people, especially the Democrats, are looking at. Now, the other thing is, if there's nothing to worry about, why bring it up? Why say, hey, man, let this whole Flynn thing go, stop investigating? Well, if there's nothing to worry about, if there's nothing there, then why bring it up? Is it out of you? I mean, it can't just be, and this is just me speculating, but this can't just be the fact that, hey, man, I like Flynn. He's such a good guy. He's my friend. I don't want you investigating my friend. But if there's nothing there to investigate, then, well, doing the investigation and finding out something, or in finding out nothing, well, would vindicate your friend. And then you could say, hey, man, he was right all along. He wasn't doing anything wrong. But anyway, now, more details from the New York Times. Now, Mr. Comey had been in the Oval Office that day with other senior national security officials for terrorism threat briefing. When the meeting ended, Mr. Trump told those present, including Pence and Attorney General Jeff Sessions, to leave the room except for Comey. So this is basically, hey, what happened that day? And this is, again, according to the memo from Mr. Comey, which, again, the New York Times doesn't necessarily have. So, little grain of salt, at least. Just a little. Now, Mr. Trump, alone in the Oval Office, he began the discussion by condemning the leaks to the news media. That I totally believe. Because he's been nonstop harping about, it's the leaks, the goddamn leaks. Look at all the leaks, man. We gotta take care of them. Hey, Comey, go after the journalists. Go and jail the journalists for leaking classified information. Yes, he actually asked that. He considered putting reporters in prison for publishing this stuff. So we'll go after the leakers, and we're going to go after the journalists too. Can you do that, Mr. Comey? Comey said, no, I can't do that. That's not something that I'm able to do. Mr. Trump then turned the discussion to Mr. Flynn. Now, after writing up a memo that outlined the meeting, Mr. Comey apparently shared it with senior FBI officials. Comey and his aides perceived Mr. Trump's comment as an effort to influence the investigation. However, and this is sort of the weird part, and conservatives are bringing this up, and it's a fair point, they decided that they would try to keep the conversation secret. Well, if what he was doing was obstructing justice by asking these questions, why would you want to keep it secret, Mr. Comey? That's a little weird. But anyway, even from to try to keep the conversation secret, even from FBI agents working on the investigation. Now, they said it's because so the details of the conversation would not affect the investigation, but it did affect the investigation. That's a major, major thing to try to hide. Hey, the president's trying to obstruct the investigation. Well, gee, why would that be? Why would you want to obstruct an investigation? Could it be that you're worried about them finding something? That is a piece of information I think that we would like to know. At least I would like to know. And then, of course, afterwards, James Comey, we know what happened. He got fired. Oops. Look, rule number one, you don't fire people investigating you. It looks really, really bad. And the second part of that is that if you fire somebody, well, you don't know when somebody's going to hold what you said in private messages against you, which is obviously seems to be what happened here. Now, the president is a child. He doesn't understand strategy and doesn't understand nuance, so he didn't get that. He's like, what, holding stuff against me? I didn't think that anybody was going to do that. And he also is unsophisticated, so he doesn't understand why you can't ask the people investigating you and people around you to stop doing so. See, he's not in a private company anymore. He's not in his own business anymore. He's in the government. And that matters. That distinction matters. But again, he doesn't understand that because he's a child. He knows nothing. Now, when you do that, by the way, that does seem like it's obstruction of justice, which is a crime. Now, why go to these lengths to stop in this investigation? If there's nothing there, and that certainly could be the case, because we don't know the details. That's why there's an investigation. But why do this? Why come out and tweet that a threat to Comey saying, you better hope that there are no tapes of our conversations before he starts leaking to the press? Tapes? What are you talking about, tapes? What tapes? See, this is bizarre behavior, even by Donald Trump standards. And that, trust me, that's bizarre. Even if there are no tapes, and there's certainly no evidence other than what Trump said that there is tapes. I mean, and Trump, of course, is a serial liar, so there might not even be tapes. Although he does have a history of taping conversations, which also has been documented. But we don't know. We don't know. There's so much ambiguity. We know that he's, again, is a serial liar. He'll say whatever he wants, and he's got absolutely no filter. So just because he says something doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. So there might not be tapes. But why go out and threaten that anyway? You want to call their bluff? What would be the point? It makes no sense. It's bizarre. Now, of course, the White House, after this report, comes out and says, hey, this is fake news. There's nothing here. They're barking up the wrong. It's a political witch hunt. They're just coming after Trump. Look over there, squirrel. Don't pay attention to this at all. Now, imagine the reaction if Hillary Clinton, for example, told Comey, if she won, and she told Comey, hey, look, I won. I'd like it if you stopped investigating my emails now. Could you please stop investigating those emails? Stop looking into Tom Podesta. You know what that would be? That would be the scandal of all scandals. That would be worse than Benghazi. People everywhere would be chanting, lock her up. Now, you know who would be talking about that, by the way? And who would also be critical? Me. I would be critical of that. And I'd be like, that is not right. That seems like obstruction of justice right there. Maybe we need to look into those emails a little further. So don't think that this is like a partisan thing. No, it's not. It doesn't matter who you are. When you try to obstruct justice, it makes you look bad. And also, it's a crime. Just saying. Now, in this case, it happens to be Donald Trump, who's not smart enough to avoid getting himself in trouble in the first place by trying to do this to an investigation. Not just that, but early reports have Trump asking Comey 2 times to pledge his loyalty. Hey, Comey, you need to pledge your loyalty to me. Will you do that? Will you be loyal to me? Will you be one of my lapdogs? No. I'm not going to do that. It's bizarre behavior. It's not the behavior of somebody who's done nothing wrong. Look, this is somebody I think personally, and this is my read of the situation. This is somebody who knows he's going down. And to me, it's not a matter of if. It's a matter of when. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.